September. Can you believe it's already September? Well, almost. What are you planning to read in September? In this video, I'll tell you what I'm planning to read. On Booktube, there are many events in September. My name is Jim. This is my channel, Books, Reading and Stuff. Cryptonomicon, Neal Stephenson. This has been on my TBRs since March. I started reading this. This is my mammoth for March. I know now September we're in Shorty September, which is the polar opposite of mammoths. This has 910 pages. It weighs over 1 kilo. I'm now on page 238. It's historical fiction with a lot of cryptography. There's talk about the Enigma code in the Second World War, and also some people starting up a cryptocurrency on the Philippines in the 1990s. It's an interesting read, but it's quite daunting, the size of it. I keep getting distracted by shorter books. On my channel, on my community page, I put up a poll for you to help me decide what to read in the month of September. I put 4 books on there. Stockholm Syndrome by Melissa Yee, The Door-to-Door Bookstore, Home Before Dark by Riley Sager, and Murder in the Crypt by Irina Shapiro. At the beginning, Riley Sager was ahead. Riley Sager's Home Before Dark, this is horror thriller. It sounds a bit like Amityville Horror. It's set in Vermont, and there may be some supernatural elements in it. I don't know yet. I haven't read any Riley Sager before. But currently, the last time I looked, Irina Shapiro, Murder in the Crypt, is in the lead. I'm pleased about this. I love Irina Shapiro's Tate and Bell series. I've read all 5 books that have been so far published in the series. There's a 6th coming out in November. They're set in Victorian London. Murder in the Crypt is also set in Victorian London, but this is not Tate and Bell. This is a Redmond and Hayes series. Redmond's is American, and Constable Hayes is a Victorian policeman, and they work together solving mysteries. I like Irina Shapiro's writing. She really takes you into the Victorian period in London, and I want to see how her writing works with a different combination of characters, because I really like Sebastian Bell and Gemma Tate from the Tate and Bell series. The poll is still open, so if you want to choose one of those 4, you can, and it may be another one gets to the top before September actually starts. Not that I mind, all 4 of the books sound interesting to me. One of many Booktube events in September is Framed in September. This is hosted by some wonderful Booktubers, Hannah of Hannah's Books, Elizabeth of Bouquin and Books, and Greg of Another Bibliophile Reads. There's 3 sort of prompts. One is to read a book related to art, particularly graphic art, painting, sculpture, things like that. A second is to visit an art museum or art gallery. And the third, if you wished, is to create some art. I'll be thinking about creating art, but first, reading art. I have a lot of these Taschen books. I think last Framed in September I read this one about Rembrandt. What I find with these books is they've got great pictures. Here's the famous Night Watch by Rembrandt, but the text is quite dry. But the series is written mostly by different authors. Here, this is the same one, Michael Blumenthal, Turner and Rembrandt, but Peter Heist wrote Renoir. For this, I would like to read Diego Rivera by Andrea Kettenman. I haven't read anything by her before. Diego Rivera was from Mexico. He was a mural artist. He was married to Frida Kahlo. I first heard about him from reading The Lacuna by Barbara Kingsolver. This is about an American in the 1930s and 1940s who was brought up in Mexico and went to work for Diego Rivera and met Diego and his wife Frida Kahlo and also Leon Trotsky, and then went back to America and experienced the McCarthy era. It's a great book, and it got me really interested in Diego Rivera, so I want to read more about him and his paintings. Another Booktube event is about the Bard, Shaketember. This is an event created by Jason, Old Blues Chapter and Verse, Kelly, is hosting it from Books I'm Not Reading, and also Nicole. They have selected several books, several plays related to Shakespeare, and there's a lot of events happening with this event. I will link to all these events in the show notes below. I've put another poll on my community tab as to which Shakespeare play I should read. I chose 3 of the ones they'd selected: As You Like It, Measure for Measure, and The Merchant of Venice. Currently in my poll, Merchant of Venice is leading, but it's very tight, so if you want to choose your favourite, you can go to my community poll on my channel. And plays are quite outside my comfort zone, but I did read A Midsummer Night's Dream 2 years ago in Shaketember and enjoyed that. That was the first comedy of Shakespeare's I've read. I'm more familiar with his tragedies like Othello and Macbeth, but yeah, I would like to read some more Shakespeare. And the final event I intend to participate in is Shorty September. Shorty September is reading books that are less than 200 pages. This is the polar opposite of a mammoth. My mammoth, Cryptonomicon, has more pages in it than these 5 books all combined. I don't know if I'll be reading all 5 of these, but these are Femme Fatale, Guy de Maupassant. Guy de Maupassant wrote Boule de Suif and many other stories. He's seen like as a French Edgar Allan Poe, is very dark. Renoir was a friend of Maupassant. Maupassant asked Renoir, why do you see everything in rose, like in rose-tinted spectacles? Like, Renoir's paintings are very cheerful, even though Renoir suffered a lot with arthritis and other things. And Renoir just retorted, why do you see everything in black? Because Maupassant's stories are very dark. It says Femme Fatale, but there are actually 4 stories in here. There's Cock Crow, Femme Fatale, Hoto and Son, and Laid to Rest. Then I have Death of a Nurse by Ed McBain. This was first published in the 1950s as Master in the Navy under the pseudonym Richard Marston. So different titles, different author name, but could be interesting. J.G. Ballard, The Disaster Area. This is a collection of short stories. It's 191 pages long. I read a lot of J.G. Ballard as a teen when I was in my sci-fi phase. He wrote a lot about apocalyptic events and just some really weird tales. So it'd be interesting to revisit J.G. Ballard. Another author I read a lot as a teen was Isaac Asimov, the master of science fiction. This is The Stars Like Dust, a book I found locally for 5 Larry. Like this one was also 5 Larry. And finally, Virginia Woolf, To the Lighthouse. This is just 154 pages, but with Virginia Woolf, it won't be a quick read. I love Virginia Woolf's writing, but it's very dense. I want to know, will they get to the lighthouse? I've already started this. I started this last month. And finally, I have a NetGalley arc, Chaos Theory. This is a contemporary romance. It's a rom-com that's coming out on the 5th of September by Sylvia Leatham. I'm starting to dip my toe into contemporary romance. Last month I read Our Song by Anna Carey, which I really enjoyed. Set in a musical world. It was a second chance romance. And this Chaos Theory is also set in Ireland, but this time it's more in the tech world, and it's about this woman, Maeve, who's just landed a job as a robot babysitter, so there'll be some AI and things like that in it as well. So I'm intrigued by this book, and I hope it continues my success with reading contemporary romance. Let me know in the comments what you're planning to read for September. I'm curious. Let me know if you've read any of the books I presented here and your thoughts. Let me know which Shakespeare I should read or which of the short books I should begin with. If you enjoyed this video, you can give it a thumbs up. This will help with the YouTube algorithm, and I'll see you on the next video. Goodbye and happy reading.